So the state I'm passing in, right? If there's something inside it, it's not empty, and there's something inside it called status. Okay, if it is true, then perform this action. Sorry, then it's parenthesis. Let me redo Control Y. Okay, so it's actually parenthesis, not curly brace. So I'll paste this in. Sorry, let me Control V. Oh, I've lost the state of all that thing I typed in. Let me do that again. So I'm cutting this, and then I'll do an empty fragment. Okay, here. Then I'll say curly brace if location dot state. Okay, the question mark there means that if it is not null, if there's something inside the object, and then you track the status, then if it is true, if this status is true, because we set the status to be true, equal to true. So if the status is true, then do whatever I have in this parenthesis. So I'll paste in my code here, right? Now let me collapse it for you to see what I've done clearly. So in this parenthesis, I'm doing all the HTML codes we just placed in the home page. So when it checks and the status is true, it should perform this action. But then if it is not, then it should rather perform a different action, right? That is what this logic is all about. So it is either true or false. So if it is true, do this. If it is false, then do that. So if this results to true, execute the first part. But if it doesn't result to true, then go and execute the false part. And the false part, we want to do window.location.replace, right? And then we call the replace function and say it should replace it with the home. Now this / is not actually home. If you look at the routes we created, it's actually calling the sign-in page. So we say that whenever you go to the /, the index page that loads in the dashboard is actually calling the dashboard, but the index page that loads inside is the sign-in page. So it means that if it checks that and the user is not logged in, if it checks that the user is not logged in from the sign-in page, it shouldn't allow the person to see the content of the home page. So it's using this to check, and then if it is true, it will display this and ignore this. If it is false, the person is not signed in, it will come and execute this. So let's do this and see. So let's say for instance I try to come to home, I hit enter, you see it loads and comes back here. Even if I go to the sign up page and then I try from the sign up page, I try to replace and say I'm going back to the home page, it would always take me to the sign in page. But then when I try to log in with the correct credentials and I do this, then it gives me that. So let's check. It says sign in user is undefined. So let's check that. I think we are using some variable sign in user somewhere. Sign in user is undefined. Sign in user. So let me check the line. And then it's showing what page. It did not give us the exact page, it's throwing that error in. Okay, so the reason why we are getting the sign in user error is that this particular user we are typing in does not exist in the database. Okay, so we're trying to type in a user John, and that user John is not in our database, so it captures an empty field and null value. So when we console log this and you check, it gives us undefined, right? And we are trying to map through an undefined data at this part. We are trying to actually access this. Sorry, so it is undefined. Sign in user is undefined because when we log, it gives us undefined here. So it means that we need to first of all check if there's some data in the sign in user. So we'll say if sign in user, then which means that if there's something inside the sign in user, then we do this operation. So let me cut this part and come and paste it here. So make sure your curly braces are correct, right? You don't cut from a wrong place. And now we have this. So it will first of all check and make sure that at least that user exist. And if the user exists, before it does the operation of bcrypts and then putting in the data. So at this point we know there's a user, but then if there's no user, then let's target the closing tag. Let me collapse this so that we can see it well. So if there's no sign-in user, then we should also be able to, else we should set this status, right? Set status and give it an error and say the set status, we can give it the same error here, wrong user or password, right? Let's put it there, the same thing. So it means that if that person is not in the database, instead of throwing an error in the console, it should give us that error message. So we are not seeing the error again, it's giving us this message here, right? So basically that is exactly what we want to do. And you see we don't have the timer on it, so let's copy the timer and then add it to this part so that it would cause the error to disappear when it shows after 2 seconds. Okay, so now we can type in the correct one and then type in the correct password, and then when we sign in, it takes us to the home page. So this is how this simple application is designed, just to ensure that we can be able to sign up a new user, and then once we sign in a new user, the data is stored in a database with the password encrypted. We can sign in a user to compare the username and the email and password, and once it's correct, we are directed to the home page. But if we try to sneak in and then try to come to the home page directly here and type it in the URL, we'll be redirected to the home page. Thank you all for going through this particular listing. If you've made it this far to this point, then it means that you have really tried your best to actually go through it. So try, practice, make sure you are able to understand the various components we use, and then also create a new project based on what we have done. If you can be able to do that, then you can be able to do a whole lot of other stuffs that we'll be doing in future. Thank you very much.